Okay, there we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first of our summer workshop series, focused on career and professional development. Today, we're going to be talking about resumes and just building a resume and what that should look like, what you should be doing. I'm very excited to have Jeffrey Patten from the UTSA Career Center here with us to share his knowledge and expertise. As I mentioned, as I was admitting people into the room, we'll definitely have time for questions and answers. So please feel free to be taking notes, and we'll have some time at the end for you to ask anything you're wondering about. Love seeing the chat active so far, so feel free to keep using that. And yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Jeff, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Sounds good. Can you see me?
I don't see your photo. We see your screen, but I don't.
Okay, that's great. That's fine. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started then. And I'm here today to talk to you about building a resume. What I want you to understand is we're going to have another session next week where we're going to talk about tailoring your resume to specific opportunities, whether those are internships or jobs. We're going to go into greater depth with some of those things. But I'm going to touch on some of those today, so it's basically a lead into next week's workshop. I want to talk to you about what is essential to the resume, what it is you need to be communicating to the reader of your information and the information that they're looking for. So without any further ado, I'm Jeff Patten. I'm Senior Career Consultant here at UTSA. I have nearly 15 years of experience assisting students with their job search. So whether you're looking for an internship or a full-time job, I'm here to help you find opportunities and demonstrate to prospective employers how you're a good fit for that opportunity. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what employers are looking for. And the idea here is if you're clear about what they want to know, then you're going to be able to provide that information in a way that is concise, accurate, and again, allows them to see why you're somebody they want to talk to. A resume won't get you a job. A resume will get you an interview. The interview is what will get you the job. But the idea here is we need to make it easy for the employer to see how you're qualified for the opportunity. And so you need to learn to decipher a position description. And we will be talking about that more next week. I want you to understand how to describe your knowledge, the content knowledge you've acquired through your degree program, through other experiences, specific skill sets that you have, software, tools, equipment, languages, processes that you know how to use, and to talk about your experience. Students make the mistake of thinking that experience is jobs they've gotten paid for. That's not it, okay? Experience is being able to take that content knowledge you've acquired and the skill sets you have and accomplish a task. That's experience. Being able to tell employers, this is what I've done, this is how I've done it, is going to give them a clear idea of what you're capable of doing for them. We're going to talk a little bit about the importance of keywords and action verbs in resumes. These are especially important when we start talking about tailoring our resume to specific opportunities. And I'm going to talk to you about resources available to you via career services. I'm amazed at the number of students who aren't aware of all the resources we have. And we have a lot, but you have to actually go in and explore them. So I can point out resources. I can't tell you what you like, what you're interested in. And by pointing out some of the resources, then you can go in and explore more effectively. So what are employers looking for? Employers are looking for good communication skills, good interpersonal skills. You know, this goes back to kindergarten, plays well with others. You need to be able to demonstrate that you can work with people who have different knowledge base than you, different understanding. Again, a different educational background, but you need to communicate clearly to employers what you have to offer them. And so demonstrating those communication skills is really crucial. They're looking for intelligence, analytical skills. Can you look at a problem and develop potential solutions for that problem? How do you go about doing that? And different people have different ways of doing that, but being able to demonstrate analytical skills is going to show the employer, again, what you're capable of doing for them. Employers are looking for enthusiasm, that you would like what you do, that you get excited about this, that you have energy to invest in the work. I tell students all the time, if you like what you do and the people you work with, it's 90% of any job. So show some enthusiasm for the work. Flexibility. There's not a job out there that will look the same when you leave that position as it looked when you started, because you're going to take on new responsibilities. Other things may fall away, but the more flexible you are, the more opportunities come your way. Demonstrate again that you have flexibility to show employers, yeah, I can do these things. I can also do these things. Leadership skills. Now, some of you may be seeking out leadership opportunities, and that's great. Some of you may not want leadership, but at some point you get pushed into it. Leadership is about recognizing the skills, the strengths, the experiences that others have, and being able to put those things to work to get a project done, to get a specific task accomplished. So leadership is as much about observing the people around you as it is about taking initiative, okay? And it's really important that you want to demonstrate good leadership skills to the employer. Again, energy, initiative, motivation. Where have you stepped up to say, hey, I see this problem that others aren't seeing, and we need to address this? What's your motivation? What gets your motor going? Maturity. This is about demonstrating responsibility for your own actions, taking on responsibility to get things done. Every employer out there wants employees who can be responsible, again, lend their skills, their expertise to getting a task, getting a project done. Self-confidence. Okay, this is about knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. I often tell students the only thing worse than not getting a job that you really want is getting a job finding out you don't want it. It's not a good fit. They expect you to know things you don't know or be able to do things you can't do. Know your abilities. Know the level of your skills. Be confident in what you know and be able to talk about that. You want to demonstrate humility and an appropriate sense of humor. This is where everybody that's listening to me, at some point, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to fall flat on your face, and you need to be able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, recognize the mistake, learn from it, and move on. Being able to laugh at yourself and recognize when you've been foolish or you've made a foolish choice is important, because an employer may ask you in an interview, what was the biggest mistake you've ever made? Be able to talk about mistakes and what you learned from that and why you won't ever make that mistake again. So these are things that employers are looking for. I'm going to tell you really briefly. This is an open secret. You may have heard me say this before. I tell students that when you're applying for a job, it's very much like when you applied to get into your program here at the university. So human resources folks and admissions officers for academic programs want to know the same information. They don't call it the same thing. Admissions officers want to know, do you have the academic preparation? Did you take the math and science courses? And the academic ability, got good GPA, got good standardized test scores to demonstrate you can be successful in this program. Human resources folks want to know, do you have the knowledge, skills, experience to do this job? Those are in essence the same thing. The second thing each of them wants to know, what makes you special? Okay. The idea here is you need to demonstrate what sets you apart. In economic terms, this is value added. So what is the value added you bring to this academic program or this employment opportunity? Now, admissions officers do this because they are trying to build the strongest cohort of students that they can. And you don't just learn from your faculty, you learn from one another in the program. For any business enterprise out there. I don't care what business or industry we're talking about. They need people with different knowledge and skills and experience to get that accomplished and remain competitive in their field. So what do you bring that they may not have from another employee, from, again, someone else who might be applying for this opportunity? Be prepared to show them what you have to offer. And this is where your resume comes in. Now, NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. Employers are telling us, we want your graduates to have these things. So critical thinking, problem solving skills. Can you analyze a problem, develop solutions? Oral and written communication skills. Can you communicate clearly, accurately, concisely in an email, in a letter, to an internal team, to an external client? So developing clarity in your thoughts and being able to articulate thoughts and ideas is really important. Teamwork, collaboration. This is about working with others to get a task done. We have different viewpoints. We have maybe conflict. How do we get past that to get the project done? Digital technology. What's current in the field? What's cutting edge? Again, can you use that technology effectively? Leadership. This is about, again, leveraging the strengths of others. By the way, collaboration, teamwork, and leadership are very closely allied. Professionalism, work ethic. Again, demonstrating personal accountability, being effective in your work habits. Career management. Okay, so I get that internship or that entry-level job. What's the next step? What do I need to be doing to make myself more attractive, more effective for my employer, or to open up other job opportunities for myself? Last but not least, global and intercultural fluency. This is about DEI, but it's not just that. It's not necessarily just about working with people of a different nationality or ethnicity, but hey, I'm in research and development and I got to work with the people in marketing. We have different motivations, different things that we're making as priorities. How do we come together, be respectful of each other, and still get the task accomplished? So these are things you want to think about. How am I communicating these competencies in my resume? Now, what do you bring to the table? Well, first, your education training. So this is content knowledge you're getting through your degree program. And maybe you have specific certifications or outside training that might also be appropriate. Skill sets. Software, tools, equipment, processes, languages that you know how to use. Relevant experience. Again, things and experience, again, is not just jobs. Experience is projects you've done, whether in class or out. Maybe it's volunteer work where you've put your education and skills to work. Specific interests you have and or other things you've been engaged with. Community involvement. Specific personal characteristics that make you a good fit for the organization. So it's important to do your research. Look at the position, research the organization, know what their expectations are, be able to show them why you're someone they want to consider. So know your values and expectations. What is important to you? It's not just about a paycheck. It's not just about doing specific activities. It's about what's your work-life balance? What are other things that are important to you? What, again, are you contributing to in this work environment? Consider your academic, financial, and other needs. This is especially important when we're talking about internships, okay? Can you get academic credit for this internship? Are you getting paid for this internship? At what point do you have the time available to engage in this internship? Some internships, they're over the summer and you've got, again, summer vacation, you can invest yourself in that time. Others may go from summer to doing part-time in the fall, or they may start as part-time in the spring and go into full-time in the summer. So know what your expectations are, what's important to you. Reflect on where opportunities exist. Certainly, you want to search Handshake, which is our platform for posting jobs and opportunities, but maybe there's something you're interested in and you're not seeing it. Where might that exist? Is it possible to set up an internship or find a work opportunity that's going to allow you to gain the experience you're expecting? Identify industry standards. So if you are in a field where there are specific standards from different groups, you want to make sure you know what those are and how you can reach those standards to be qualified for jobs in your field. Know your expectations and what you hope to gain from the experience. We talk sometimes about SMART goals, and they're strategic, measurable. The idea here is, what is it you want to get out of this experience? If you have a clear idea at the beginning, when an employer asks you, okay, so what do you want to learn in this internship? What are things that are important for you to interact with to know that you've gotten value from that opportunity? Look beyond the obvious. Really reflect on what this opportunity is going to provide for you. Here's where we're starting to get into putting the resume together. I want you to understand that a resume is not a laundry list of everything you've ever done. I'm big on metaphors, so bear with me. I tell students that your resume is a snapshot. It's a quick picture of you. Now, in a snapshot, I can't have a full-on shot and a three-quarter shot and a profile shot in the same picture. Each of those is me, but not each of those tells the reader what they want to know. So a resume needs to be organized. It needs to be focused. Tell them the information they want to know. And this is where learning to read a position description is really crucial. They are asking questions in the position description. You need to have, again, specific software skills or experience or, again, knowledge of things in your field. And you need to show them how you have that, whether that's from coursework you've done, projects, job you held. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It matters that you can say, yep, I can do that. Here's how. Don't just list your position, and don't tell me you were responsible for something. Tell me what you did, okay? This is an action statement. A resume is not a passive document, and it's not something that's static. You don't create it and there it is. As you add new content knowledge, new skill sets, new experiences, your resume needs to reflect that. At bachelor's level, your resume should be a single page, one-sided. It should be in a single, consistent font. Again, you can change font size. You can use bullet points, italics, maybe even underlining to draw the eye to things. But you want to communicate information clearly, concisely, and effectively to the reader. Don't make them work hard to figure out how you're qualified, because they won't, okay? I've used to tell students that the typical resume got looked at for about 60 seconds. I had a recruiter say, 60? I give it 6. They're looking for specific information. You need to make it easy for them to access that information. And again, you want to set your document up in reverse chronological order. So most recent first to least recent. And the idea here is you're basically showing them a little bit of history. So this is where I am right now. Here's where I was 6 months ago. Here's where I was a year ago. The idea is you want to show them progression in what you're doing. So again, 30 to 60 seconds per resume. You are marketing what you have to offer to the reader. So you are showing them, here's content knowledge, skill sets, experience that I have. Keep it to a single page. Okay, give them the highlights, not the whole story. The other metaphor that I like to use with a resume, this is an appetizer. This is enough to whet their appetites. Oh, this person's interesting. We want to know more, because that's what moves you from resume to interview. Like I told you, a resume won't get you a job. A resume will get you an interview. The interview gets you the job. But the idea here is you want basically for them to be able to check things off their lists. So think of a position description as a checklist. They're asking for specific things. You want to check those things off on their list. And again, potentially show value added, something else you have that makes you a better candidate than someone else. Now, I want you to understand that somebody's going to be in touch with you. So you want to have professional voicemail message, email address. Your university address for email is fine, but think about your voicemail. You don't want anything cute. You don't want anything obscene on your voicemail. Make sure that whatever number you've got, phone number on your resume, that when someone calls, they are going to get a professional sounding message, which means, hi, you've reached so-and-so, and I'm not able to come to the phone right now. Please leave a message and I will get back to you at my earliest convenience. I tell students in terms of information that's out there, voicemail messages, etc. Again, if you wouldn't want your grandmother to see it, you might want to think about reformatting that information. Okay, moving along. A resume is a very simple document. Simple does not mean easy. This takes work. Okay, finding a job is a job. Don't let anyone fool you. So there are only 4 things that have to go in a resume. That's all, just 4 things. First, your contact information. So they need to be able to know how to get in touch with you. There are a number of things that you can put in that heading. So your name, and your name should be at least as large and bold as anything else on the page. Again, you don't have to put a mailing address, but you should certainly have an email address, a phone number. If you have a LinkedIn profile, if you have a website, if there's something else that's relevant, keyword relevance. If you remember nothing from today's presentation, how is this content relevant to the opportunity? If it's not, doesn't belong in your resume. So the idea here is your heading, your contact information, name, email address, phone number. If you have, like I say, a LinkedIn profile with a unique URL, don't just use the one that LinkedIn gives you. Go in and make sure it leads to your name. That's all in, again, your contact information. Now, the next point, objective. You do not need to print an objective on your resume. You can, that choice is yours. But philosophically, you should always start with an objective. It can be as specific as this position. It can be as general as seeking entry-level position in whatever your field is. But the idea here is an objective is to a resume what a thesis statement is to an essay. It's your purpose for putting this document together. Here's the position I'm looking for. Everything that follows should go back to support how you're prepared to step into that position, okay? An objective is a single sentence. It's not a paragraph. You're not writing a letter. Resumes are not academic writing. Resumes are business correspondence. So you want to cut to the chase. Give them what they've asked for. Make it easy for them to absorb that information. Again, the appetizer analogy, you want to make it easy for them to digest, okay? So if you choose to put an objective, print that on your resume, that's great. If you choose to leave that out, that's okay. But starting with one is going to make it easy for you to filter out what information you need to share with the employer, what information they don't need to know. Education, your degree here at UTSA. Okay, if you went to community college, you can include that, but you don't need to. And again, reverse chronological order. So your bachelor's degree first, then your associate's degree. If you got specific licensure or certification in community college, yeah, you might want to include that. So depending on the position in your background, think about what the employer needs to know. After your education is going to be either experience or skills. Which one comes first? Go back and read the position description. If the first thing they're asking for is software you know, equipment you've used, tools, processes, languages, skills are probably the thing you want to have. And realistically, No, it's great that you speak Swahili. If it has nothing to do with the job, is it really important? Relevance is the key. So think about the skill sets you have, relevant skills, and you might want to break it down into software, equipment, tools, processes to make it easy for the reader to digest. Other categories, again, there are other things that may go into a resume, but you have to ask yourself, how is this relevant to the opportunity? So relevance is the key. So formatting, I always tell students formatting is the most personal aspect of the resume because this document represents you to the reader. You want to be happy with how it looks. You want to make sure, again, that it's easy for them to see the information they're seeking. So use categories that fit your experience, emphasize strengths, experience, skills, show them what you want them to know about you. You don't need to include personal information, in excellent health. That's great. I sort of expect that as an employer, but what I'm saying here is the information in here is about how you're qualified for the opportunity. Now, the next point bears emphasis. Do not, and I repeat, do not use a template. Students do this because they're being lazy. They don't want to have to take time to actually create things on their own. Templates are notorious for, again, mangling your content when you go to add new information or to change things around. And many of the templates, again, are not well designed. So steer away from templates. I tell students, go into Word and create your document. You can set your own tabs and margins. You have control over headers and everything else. Don't put things in columns. Okay, so just so that you know, when people are looking at a page, whether it's a written page or whether it's something that's online, okay, this is the pattern that people's eyes follow when they're looking at a computer screen. It's a capital F. They go across the page and down and in and down. So you want to draw their eye to those things that are important. Following that capital F essentially is the way you do it. And beyond that, then it's about using bold, bullet points, italics, etc. Okay. Objective, I already talked about this. It's recommended for clarification. It is specific to each opportunity you're looking at. It tells the employer, this is the position you're looking for and how you're qualified, what you have to offer them. Again, you don't have to print the objective on the resume. Education. Okay, so your UTSA degree and your anticipated graduation date. Students often want to tell me how long they're here. Employers do not care if you're on the 4-year plan or the 6-year plan. They want to know when you're going to be ready to work for them. So you tell them your anticipated graduation date. Also, in many fields, accrediting boards say, hey, here's the sequence of courses you have to take in order to get this degree. So employers know this is the sequence of courses you take. If they know when you're graduating, they have a pretty good idea of what you already know. If you have a specific certification, licensure, or special training, certificate programs where you've earned a certificate for something, or case studies, maybe things that you want to include, you don't have to list specific classes unless the employer has specifically requested it. You got to have this class or we don't want to talk to you. Sometimes that happens with internships. So unless it's unique or pertinent to the position, you don't have to tell me about classes you've taken, but you do need to tell me your degree and if you have a minor or other concentration. Skills. Okay, again, software, tools, equipment, processes, languages you know how to use and how you've used them. This will come under your experience. So when you're talking about an experience, whether it's a project, lab work you've done, etc., what did you do? How did you do it? What did you do? How did you do it? You want to give them concrete examples because by showing them what you've done, they know what you're capable of doing for them. If you have any specialized trainings, safety certifications, material handling, you might want to include this under your skills. Let them know the training and skills that you have. Okay. I say this time and time again. You're going to hear me repeat it again, probably next week. Experience is experience is experience. I don't care where it comes from. If it's relevant experience, meaning you've taken your content knowledge and your skill sets and accomplished a task, whether that's a project you did in class, for a club or organization, for some outside organization, hackathons, competitions, volunteer work. So let's say that you're a civil engineer and you belong to Engineers Without Borders and you go down to Mexico and help bring clean water to a village. That's experience, okay? You may have been doing it as a volunteer opportunity because it was something that fit your values that was important to you, but it's still experience. So look at your skill sets. Look at the things that have allowed you to accomplish a task and tell them about that. Experience can come from internships, from jobs, as I mentioned, volunteer opportunities, but think about the things that are most relevant to the opportunity. You can include other things you've done, jobs that maybe are less relevant, but it should come at the end of the document. So I'm listing my experience and I'm telling about projects, internships, other things where I've demonstrated what I can do for an employer. But then I talk about, oh yeah, and I waited tables. I had a cashier's job. I had other jobs to support myself and my education. But again, it's towards the end of the document. Now, I hope you can see this example. What essentially you've got here is the formatting you want to follow. Now, this person has their contact information center justified, and then they've left justified the rest. I don't care how you choose to justify your page, right, left, or center. Typically, again, left justification or center justification is most common. But the idea here is, remember that capital F. So you start at the top and then down the page and in and down. Education. University of Texas, San Antonio, Texas, graduation date, your degree title, okay? So bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science in whatever your field is. You can include your GPA. Now, students get all hung up on this. If you have a good GPA, put it on there. If you don't, leave it off. There are employers who, again, they use that as a filter. There are others who they're more concerned about other things. If it's good, put it on there. If it's not, leave it off. If the employer requires a specific GPA, they are going to require that you submit transcripts to show that you have that. So again, if it's good, put it on there. If it's not, leave it off. I had an engineering student a couple of years ago who was applying for an internship, and they were concerned because their GPA wasn't stellar. It wasn't bad, but the point is they were concerned about that. I said, look, let's show the employer how you meet the qualifications they have for this internship. Organize your information so they've got a clear picture of why you're a good candidate. Just leave the GPA off. If they want to know, be honest, tell them the truth, but don't focus on that. That student got the internship and he came back and thanked me because he said, I have friends who have better GPAs than I do. They didn't get an internship. I did because I showed the employer what they were asking. So that's what you want to focus on. Now, this person is next talking about experience. So name of company, the location, dates employed, your position title, and then bullet points under that showing what you did. Again, don't tell me you were responsible for. Give action to those bullet points. Okay, I work with engineers. I tell them, think of those bullet points as an algebraic equation. Using software X and equipment Y, accomplish task Z. You can move the variables around, accomplish task Z using equipment Y and software X. But the idea is those bullet points should be active. This is not a passive document. This is showing what you've done that qualifies you to do the opportunity you're seeking, okay? This is where we talk about keywords and action verbs. Now, keywords are important because they are terms used in a position description that you want to pull out of that description and mirror in your resume. So think back to 8th grade English. This is basic stuff. The two parts of speech that you need in order to have a sentence, and a bullet point is a sentence, there's no punctuation, but the two parts of speech you need are a noun and a verb. We talk about using keywords and action verbs. Action verbs are the verbs. So keywords are going to be nouns. More often than not, proper nouns, names of things. So for example, AutoCAD is a key word. Why? AutoCAD's a software program. But here is a list of all the things that you can do using AutoCAD. Keywords and action verbs allow us to be descriptive and concise at the same time. The idea here is you want to give action to what you've done. Skill sets, again, you can do them as bullet points. You could break them into specific types of skills. Again, software, equipment, tools, etc. You can talk about co-curricular activities, especially as they relate to your field. So if you have a student membership in a club in your organization in your field, you could include that. Community involvement, honors and awards. So this is the basic format you want to follow. Now here's an example from someone who is in biomedical engineering, and they're telling me that's their objective. They're looking for an opportunity to do research, bachelor's in biomedical, chemistry minor, focuses on biomechanics. First thing they've got, and they've chosen to put this under their education, senior design project. They could have also put that under relevant experience. The choice is yours. Technical skills, and again, software they know, processes they can use. Then from lab experience, research assistant positions they held on campus, specific things they did, applied cell culture techniques regarding feeding, passing, counting, etc., to maintain cell lines and conduct tissue engineering research. Designed and analyzed, great verbs, tissue engineering scaffold, using SolidWorks, Quick Slice, etc. The idea in the resume is that this is a snapshot. You get to decide what information gets foregrounded and what gets backgrounded by the headings and the categories that you choose. This is a list of action verbs. And again, think about how you're describing what you've done, how you're talking about the actions you took. Know your resources. And I'm going to zip through some of this because we're getting close in time. Look at professional organizations in your field. Take time to network, take advantage of resources, talk to your faculty. This is our web address, careercenter.utsa.edu. This is what our web page looks like. Specific resources you want to check into. So we have 3 pages of resources. Handshake is our platform for posting jobs and internships. It's also where we post events and activities, career fairs, etc. VMOC is an AI that will evaluate your resume. And it's a basic red light, yellow light, green light. Red light, hey, you got problems, you got to fix this. Yellow light, you're moving in the right direction, but there are things you can still improve on. Green light, you're essentially good to go. Roadrunner Network is a way to network with UTSA alum. So you might check that out and create a profile. What can I do with this major is a great resource and an inexpensive one. I'll show you about that in a second. We have resume samples there. And if you have questions, certainly schedule an appointment or come to drop-ins. We're happy to talk with you. LinkedIn Learning is another resource you have access to. And I'm going to briefly talk about marketable skills. So what can I do with this major? Undergrad industry reports are what the marketable skills are now labeled as. We're in the process of updating that. Guide to Gaining Experience. And I want you to know of that because this is a resource from the College of Engineering. So when I look at what can I do with this major, it will pull up all these matrix of different degree programs. Check it out. Look at your degree program, look at others that may overlap with yours. So when I click into engineering, it looks like this. If you go to that print version, it's just easier to understand. So it breaks the degree down into different areas within the degree, categories of employers in those areas, and strategies for getting jobs with those employers. So it helps you think about how do I target particular employers for the things I'm interested in. And you can see the different areas that are here. Oh, by the way, Notice biosystems engineering is a separate degree, so you'd have to go and look at that. I encourage students, look at your degree program, look at other degree programs that may overlap with yours. So think about the resources that are available to help you find opportunities you might be interested in. Again, other information, other fields in engineering. And then from when we first clicked into that resource, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of engineering, it has a list of professional associations in engineering. Occupational outlook information. Is it trending up, meaning more jobs? Is it trending down, meaning fewer? Other related resources and actual employment opportunities. These are links. This is as easy as the search process gets. Now, again, if you click into those professional associations, hey, here's ASME. So if you have a student membership, you can go in and search through the information they have in there. Now, the guide to gaining experience, this is specific to the colleges you see listed here, but CID, Student Guide to Gaining Experience. And this is something you want to be thinking about now, because as you move forward, you want to be able to show an employer the kind of experience you have that's relevant to the opportunities. Marketable skills, I talked about this. This is the old sheet, but it tells you, again, here are top 5 common job titles. So those are the kinds of positions you should be looking at. Industries they work in, top employers, where they're located, what they make. And then again, in-demand specialized skills, computer skills, those what we are now calling power skills based on the NACE career readiness competencies that I talked about earlier. I'm going to stop now and entertain any questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask if we have any questions that I can answer.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So I just heard today about not having objective, that's not necessary.
Right.
But I was curious about having like a profile, like summary at the top. Would it be the same idea of it not being necessary?
Exactly. And I will, okay, this is a personal bias. I own this one. I don't like summaries. Those professional profiles take up space on the page. And in reality, people make sweeping statements. I'm an excellent this, I'm an outstanding that. Based on what? Where's the evidence? Okay. I can tell you, I've seen only a handful of, again, professional summaries that were well done. Now, if you've got a good one, great, more power to you. But realistically, think about demonstrating under your experience how you have put your content knowledge and skill sets to work, because that's so much more powerful, so much more convincing to the employer. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Other questions?
We just had one.
Okay.
Oh, you
Karen, I saw you're in the chat. So for master's level students, it is permissible to have more than one page. If you're a PhD candidate, again, you can have multiple pages. But here is what I tell PhD candidates, newly minted PhDs, you're putting a CV together, 4 pages tops, because no one is going to read all of that. And CVs are different than resumes, and I'm not going to go into that now about why. But the idea here is if you're taking your CV and editing down to a resume, good idea, newly minted master's degree folks, 2 pages. A good resume is all about learning to edit yourself and provide relevant information to the opportunity. I know faculty members who have multiple page CVs, but when put to the task, they can give me a single page resume. So yes, with a master's degree or a doctoral degree, it is permissible to have more than one page in your resume, but stop and think about relevance and how is this communicating my communication skills by learning to edit myself to show how I'm a good fit for this specific opportunity. Your resume should always be tailored to the opportunity. Did I answer your question?
I have a question if you're ready.
Sure.
What is your thought on cover letters?
Okay, that's a whole nother topic, and I'm going to be doing that 2 weeks from now. I think that's right.
Okay.
But here, I'll give you the quick and dirty on cover letters. Okay. A resume and a cover letter are both business correspondence. This is not academic writing. You do not wax poetic about all these things. It is, and again, it goes back to old days when we'd be shipping something, and the cover letter was, here's what I'm shipping. It's sort of like with, if you're sending a fax, your cover sheet, here's what's in this fax. So a cover letter is essentially, I'm submitting an application for this position. Tell them what the position is, tell them where you found it, because they want to know they're advertising in the right place. Here's why I think I'm a good fit for this opportunity. Again, highlight things from your resume that you want to emphasize. What I tell students is, if your resume is a snapshot, a quick picture, your cover letter is a magnifying glass where you get to focus in on specific things you want to emphasize to the reader. It is also a call to action. So here's why I think I'm a good fit for the position. Here's why the position is a good fit for me. I welcome the opportunity to talk with you in greater depth about this opportunity. So you're calling them to get back in touch with you. Did I answer your question? You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, we do indeed have one-on-one appointments. Again, generally for resumes, it's a half hour because we have too many requests to spend an hour with you. We do hour-long appointments for other things. We also offer drop-in hours. We don't do that during the summer, just so you know, but during the normal semester in the fall and the spring, I actually spend 2 hours a week over in the engineering building. You can bring by a resume. I'll go through that with you. But if you want to do an appointment to look at your resume, we can do that either in person, face-to-face, or virtually. So happy to review your information and give you feedback.
I have another question.
Certainly.
Are we allowed to just have a meeting with you about request specific career counselors?
Yes, well, I am one of the we're now called career consultants because we do education and we consult with employers as well as work with students. They ask us to do a lot. But the point is that, yes, we can talk to you about career exploration. We can talk to you about tailoring your resume and cover letter. We can talk to you about writing a personal statement if you're applying for graduate work or a professional program. So we do a lot of different things. And I am specifically the liaison to the College of Engineering. I also work with the Graduate College, and I'm now working with the Honors College. The point is, there are others who work with the Alvarez College of Business, with the College of Science. And so if you look on our website, again, careercenter.utsa.edu, over on the left-hand side of the page about us, you can go in and see who the different career consultants are and figure out who is the appropriate person for you to talk with. Did that answer your question, Esther?
Okay, so on careercenter.utsa.edu, I can then find the profile of all the
bar menu across the top of the page over on the right-hand side about us, and you will see all of the folks who work here in the University Career Center.
Jeff, I had to step away for one quick second. Sorry if I missed it. Did you mention VMOC also?
I did mention VMOC in the presentation. VMOC, again, is a great resource. Okay, I'm going to tell you on our webpage, those 3 pages of resources, great stuff in there. What you need to know is some of those resources, the university pays tens of thousands of dollars to have a site license. So you as a student have access to this. VMOC costs something like $30,000 a year because it's based on our enrollment, okay? And the point here is take advantage of this. It will go in, like I say, it's an AI that will evaluate your formatting, your content. Again, it will make suggestions. I recommend that it's a good idea to do that drop in and get some feedback first, but then submit it to VMOC, get the feedback so that you can then improve your resume. It also has an interviewing skills segment in VMOC and Aspire, which will help you develop your elevator pitch. Other questions?
Someone had messaged me to ask, so just to let everybody know, also this session is recorded and it's going to be up on our YouTube channel. So, and I will be sure to send the link out once we've got it up so that people can just have it as a resource and review like as you're applying to things and working on stuff. So.
And next week, so a week from today, I'm going to be doing a second presentation specifically on tailoring your resume to specific opportunities. And this is the key. Okay, I tell students, create a master document. You've got everything in. But anytime you're applying for a specific opportunity, edit it down to show how you fit that opportunity. The easier you make it for the employer to see how you've got what they're asking for, the more likely you're going to move forward in that process. So make it easy on the reader to see how you're qualified, what you bring to that opportunity. And we'll be talking more about how to, again, identify keywords in a position description and how to tailor your information for the opportunities you're seeking.
That's fantastic, Jeff. Yeah, and that's a good trailer for the session that we have next week, where Jeff's going to go more into specifics about how to tailor for specific jobs or internships that you're interested in. So please RSVP. I had put that in the link in the chat earlier. You can also find it on RowdyLink. All of these sessions. So throughout the summer, we're going to have sessions on resumes, cover letters. There's going to be one about interviews. There's going to be one about just like how to search for jobs, because that can be really daunting in and of itself, but like different resources you can utilize, salary negotiation, just like a little bit of everything. So look those up, please RSVP. We hope to see you at future sessions like these, and all of them are going to be recorded as well. So we'll have those existing just for future reference as well. So thank y'all so much for being here. Jeff, thank you. This was really, really great. Really thrilled that we were able to answer so many questions and that such a good attendance. So thank you for sharing your expertise and your knowledge.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's great when I can talk to a whole group of students because, again, a lot faster than those one-on-one sessions. So come and see us if you have questions, schedule an appointment through Handshake, but we're here to help you find the opportunities you're seeking.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much. Have a great rest of your week. We will see you next week for the next session, and hopefully for all the rest of them throughout the summer.